A walk through the woods on a spring day can reveal a hidden world of natural wonders. Our woodlands are teeming with life, and this life comes in a variety of forms and colors. There is no life form in this habitat that is a more profound example of this diversity than the wildflowers. Not only are these wildflowers beautiful ornaments of the woodland floor, but they are also keys to understanding the complex web of life in the woods. This is only one of the many wonders to be discovered in the natural world around us. What are these jewels that lie at my feet, rising for the occasion of spring as they liberate themselves from the bondage of the earth's soil? The springtime flowers greet the morning sun with shining faces. This is the reward for those who venture into the April woods. But my eyes are not the only eyes that search out this banquet of beauty. Insects that awake from deep winter slumbers or begin their life cycles race to get their fill of the flower's precious nectar. There is an urgency in their intent as they scramble to the feast. As the insects gather the nectar, they also act as messengers, delivering pollen from one flower to another. This act ensures that the next generation of floral progeny will go on. Symbiotic relationships are the matrix that the woodland community is built on. For example, the marsh marigold has lines on the petals that are visible to bees under ultraviolet sunlight. Although the marsh marigold looks uniformly yellow to us, it has lines called nectar guides that are distinct patterns that lead the insects to the pollen in the center of the bright yellow flowers. This flower is a member of the family called Ranunculaceae. This word comes from the Latin word ranunculus, meaning little frog. This is a reference to the marshy habitat that the plant is found in, a habitat it often shares with frogs. The Native Americans and early American settlers prepared the root for food. The large tubers were prepared kind of like a potato. These beautiful yellow flowers were a welcome sight for these early Americans. This complex-looking flower is called Dutchman's breeches. This is an odd but beautiful member of the poppy family. This plant gets its name from a resemblance to that of a pair of Dutch bloomers hanging upside down. The scientific name of this plant is Dicentra cucullaria. Dutchman's breeches contain a toxic alkaloid known as cucullarine. This toxin has been known to cause sickness and even sometimes death to cattle when grazing and they, by mistake, consume the plant. This poisoning of cattle is called little blue staggers. This is a close relation to the Dutchman's breeches, known as squirrel corn. The scientific name of this plant is Dicentra canadensis. The tuber of this delicate beauty is yellow and resembles corn, hence the name squirrel corn. This beautiful flower goes by many names: red trillium, purple trillium, stinking Benjamin, wake robin, or the scientific name Trillium erectum. Trillium erectum has a distinct foul odor that is the device that attracts its main pollinator, the carrion fly. This foul odor is how the flower earned its nickname, Stinking Benjamin. Another member of the Trillium family is the large flowered trillium. The scientific name for this flower is Trillium grandiflorum. Trilliums are members of the lily family. The large flowered trillium is Ohio's state wildflower. Here is an example of how in some woods this flower assembles in large masses to form one of our area's most awesome spectacles. This is another trillium called the drooping trillium. It is also known as the bent trillium or the nodding trillium. They come in colors from a deep maroon to a snow white. This trillium attracts ants that carry off the seeds in order to consume the oil in the fleshy part of the seed. This leaves the seed uninjured, and as an act of symbiosis, the seed is transported to the ant's underground lair. This arrangement provides the dispersal method for the drooping trillium. Here we have the trout lily. The name trout lily comes from the dappled coloration on the leaves. This dappling resembles the sides of the brook trout. Another common name for this plant is the dogtooth violet, although it's not actually a member of the violet family. The other part of that nickname comes from a bulb that resembles a dog's tooth. Trout lilies are true members of the lily family. The trout lily has an interesting development cycle. For the first 2 to 3 years, it surfaces as a small single leaf. At 4 to 6 years, the plant sends up a larger leaf that more closely resembles the mature leaf, but still without a flower. Then, finally, at 6 to 7 years into the development, the plant produces 2 mature dappled leaves with a beautiful yellow flower. This is one of our most common early spring wildflowers, the spring beauty. The scientific name is Claytonia virginica, after John Clayton, a botanist and physician from Virginia. The starchy underground tubers of this plant were an important food for Native Americans and European settlers. The tuber tastes somewhat like a potato. It's important to keep in mind that our earliest inhabitants of America depended very heavily on the things that our natural resources could provide. When we see these wildflowers, we are looking at a link to America's history as well as natural history. There is no shortage of color in the early spring woodlands. The wild blue phlox adds its color to the ephemeral splendor. These flowers are noted for their fragrance as well as their beauty. Wild ginger may lack the showy flowers that the other wildflowers display, but this makes the wild ginger no less special. The early pioneers used the root of this plant as a flavoring for cookies and candies. It always has 2 heart-shaped leaves with a brownish 3-petaled flower. The flower is close to the ground between the two hairy leaf stems. This wildflower is the wild geranium. The word geranium comes from the Greek word geranos, meaning stork's bill. The fruit of this flower has a seed capsule that, when ready, forcefully throws the stork's bill-shaped seed away from the host plant. There's great variation in the methods used by plants to achieve dispersal of their seeds. Rue anemone is another fragile beauty of the woodland floor. The word anemone is a reference to the wind. These flowers are also called wind flowers, since they sway in the wind as it passes over the leaves and bloom. One of our most familiar wildflowers is the common blue violet. This abundant and colorful flower is a sure sign of spring. It has also served mankind as an important food in the past. The greens and flower of the violet are high in vitamin C and vitamin A. This is another example of how today's woods were yesterday's grocery stores. A close relative, the yellow violet, is often found in the same woods as the common blue violet. Violets are a lovely and colorful addition to this woodland masterpiece. This wildflower is called bloodroot. Bloodroot is a member of the poppy family. This fragile flower blooms only for a very short time. It closes at night and opens with the morning sunlight. The shape of the leaf makes this wildflower rather easy to identify. Bloodroot gets its name from the bright red juice in the root and contained throughout the plant. The scientific name for this plant is Sanguinaria canadensis. The genus name Sanguinaria comes from the Latin word for bleeding. Bloodroot is another example of a plant with historical significance. The Native Americans used the red juice of this plant for war paint, clothing dye, and even as insect repellent. Here we have Virginia bluebells. This wildflower only blooms for a short time in early spring. During the budding stage, the flower starts off as pink pendulous buds. As they open and mature, they develop into the light blue trumpet-shaped flowers that we see here. The scientific name for this wildflower is Mertensia virginica, in honor of the German botanist Franz Karl Mertens. Mayapples have a very recognizable umbrella-like leaf. A white flower forms under the leaf and eventually turns into an apple-like fruit. The mayapple is also known as the mandrake. This wildflower is called the cutleaf toothwort. Cutleaf toothwort is a common early spring flower in our area. The name toothwort comes from its tuber that has a shape that resembles a tooth. Even its scientific name, dentaria, is a reference to the tooth. The word wart is an Old English word meaning plant. A close relative to this wildflower is Dentaria diphylla. The common name is two-leaf toothwort. The word diphylla is from the Latin for two leaves. Golden ragwort is a common wildflower that often grows in damp woodland areas. It's not uncommon to see this flower growing in large groups. This flower is a member of the aster family. The word aster is from the Latin for star, a reference to the radiating star-like flower. Isopyrum bitternatum, or false ruin anemone, has a small white five-petaled flower. This wildflower invests most of its energy developing its root system. This extensive root system helps the Isopyrum survive through the harsh winter months. Jack in the pulpit is an unusual flower with its green and sometimes striped hood that projects out of a funnel-shaped flower. Under the hood, a club-shaped part can be seen that is called the spadix. Blue cohosh is a very early spring flower that usually is in flower 2 to 3 weeks before most of the other spring wildflowers begin to bloom. Early settlers learned from the Native Americans to use the root to ease the pain of childbirth. This is the origins of the other common name for this plant, papoose root. One of my favorite wildflowers, and in my opinion one of the most beautiful of our flowers, is the hepatica. There are two kinds of hepatica in our area, sharp-lobed and round-lobed. These flowers are examples of the sharp-lobed hepatica. The difference between the two kinds of hepatica is the shape of the leaves. Hepatica comes in white, pink, light blue, and darker purplish blue. The name hepatica comes from the Greek word for liver, hepar. This is a reference to the three-lobed leaves that resembles a liver. It was believed that the shape of the leaves of the plant indicated the part of the body that could be treated by using medical concoctions made from the plant. This was a very early medical doctrine called the doctrine of signatures. These days, we no longer subscribe to this archaic method of treatment for ailments. The rigors of trial and error have proven to be a much more reliable method for deciding appropriate treatment. Although this is only a small sampling of the wildflowers that can be found, I hope it has inspired an interest in these springtime beauties. We have enjoyed bringing you this show, and we hope you join us next time as together we learn more about the natural world around us.